should see something he can hit. Maldonado, center field. Did he get this one? Back is Pollock, and it is gone! A home run! Martin Maldonado walks it off in the 17th inning. And on the heels of the marathon win, the Brewers arrive in St. Louis. We're ready for game one of this three-game series. The division rival Cardinals. Yesterday, Martin Maldonado became the first catcher in Major League history to catch 17 innings and hit a walk-off homer in the 17th inning. But he will now take a back seat. Jonathan Lucroy returns tonight. 6 weeks on the disabled list with a fractured left toe. He is back in the lineup this evening. Hi, everybody. We welcome you from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Brian Anderson along with Bill Schroeder. Sophia Minnaert is our reporter tonight. And Lucroy is certainly the headliner. We'll get into all the pitching a little bit later. But Jonathan Lucroy coming back gives Craig Counsell and the Brewers a huge lift.
Yeah, you get this guy in the middle of the batting order. I mean, he's a good example that is set for a lot of these hitters right now. Lucroy, a professional hitter. Everybody knows what he can do at the plate. I mean, one of the best hitters behind home plate last year, the Brewers MVP. But what people don't realize how important he is just to be in that lineup, just to be around the ball club. When you're on the disabled list, you really can't have much of an impact. He's a quiet leader. He leads by example. He's in there just about every day, and certainly a guy that can be a big help to this offense right now.
Been down on a minor league rehab assignment, ready to go here tonight. The pitching is a major story. 9 pitchers used in yesterday's 17-inning win. Sophia had a chance to catch up with the manager, Craig Counsell. He'll break it down for us, see what we can expect here tonight.
on all your home improvement needs. By Toyota, see where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time.
Mike Fiers and Jaime Garcia getting ready to key off this three-game series starting here at Busch Stadium tonight. The third meeting between the Brewers and the Cardinals this season. Now, Martin Maldonado made all of the headlines for his walk-off home run in yesterday's 17-inning game, but it was the Milwaukee Brewers bullpen that did the bulk of the heavy lifting and that nearly 6-hour marathon game. We took a look at all of the work that the bullpen did. 8 relievers used, 13 1/3 innings covered, 7 hits for them, just 1 run allowed. That one coming in the 8th inning, and the strikeouts, 12 for them and 174 pitches thrown. Now, Craig Counsell addressed the state of his bullpen, how taxed they are after covering so many innings in yesterday's walk-off win, and needing a long start from Mike Fiers here today.
Your teams aren't built that way, and you need length from your starting pitching. And I think, it's we've been fortunate with some off days, but we need length, and we need to get those guys a break because and sometimes their effectiveness is also not only is based on their rest as much as their actual out there on the mound, but rest makes those guys more effective, and the ability to put them into situations that they can have success in makes them more effective. And the more innings you have to cover, the less you can kind of control of what situations they're going to be in.
Mike Fiers looking to get this series started here tonight in St. Louis. They will go up against the baseball's best team in the St. Louis Cardinals, their 33-17 record. The Brewers trying to win in this third meeting between the two teams.
Lucroy sends one deep left center, and there she goes. Lucroy's throw to second, right on the bag. Lucroy hammers one into left center, and that'll go to the wall. That is going to get down, and there it is. The 46th as a catcher is a major league record. And there he is, Jonathan Lucroy, back in the starting lineup, hitting second today Been a long road back for Lucroy with that fractured big toe on his left foot. Brewers lineup today courtesy of Potawatomi. Book your stay now. 64 degrees here as we get ready for game 1 of this series. Overcast skies up above, supposed to be in the mid-70s over the next couple of days here. Here's the lineup: Gene Segura, Jonathan Lucroy, and Ryan Braun at the top. In the middle, you've got Carlos Gomez, Aramis Ramirez, and Jason Rogers. Gerardo Parra, Luis Sardinas, and Mike Fiers rounding out the Brewers 9 against left-hander Jaime Garcia. A 1-1 record this season. The left-hander has a 3.46 earned run average. And we're ready to play ball tonight in St. Louis. Cardinals are having a big homestand. They are currently 5-1 on their homestand, Rock, and they open play today with the best record in the big leagues.
And one of the reasons they have the best pitching in all of baseball as far as earned run average goes, 273 team earned run average. Jaime Garcia, 27 years old, out of Reynosa, Mexico. This is the 4th straight year that Garcia has missed time due to injury. He had numbness in his arm, had surgery to relieve pressure on a nerve, but making start number 3 tonight.
Segura back in the leadoff spot, just missed the bag over at first, and the count to a ball and 2 strikes. Brewers win a thriller yesterday, 17-inning ball game against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Salvaged just 1 game in that homestand and snapped a 7-game losing streak with the win yesterday. But what a performance it was. There's a line drive that's down, a base hit for Segura. So the Brewers get it started with a base hit tonight. Segura's been swinging the bat well since coming back from the broken hand.
4 hits yesterday and 3 of them coming to right field, so picking up right where he left off. And that's what you have to do against Jaime Garcia. He's not going to overpower you. He's got a good arsenal of off-speed pitches, a slider and a changeup.
And here is Jonathan Lucroy's first at bat. Spent some time in Brevard County in a minor league rehab. That is the Brewers' high A level. Yeah, Lucroy said he saw what he wanted to see. He got to see velocity, got to see some good breaking balls, right-handers, left-handers. He was able to catch a complete game. So everything that Lucroy wanted to accomplish, he was able to accomplish down in his minor league rehab. He also spent a lot of time with the young players, talking to them about what it takes not just to get to the big leagues but to stay there, talking hitting approach. He really used the opportunity as a teaching, coaching moment, and therein lies what separates a guy like Jonathan Lucroy and most other superstars in the game.
And that's why the Brewers missed him so much. I mean, he really cares not just what he does, but winning games.
That is going to be caught in center field, close to a trap, but John Jay able to pick it up just before it hits the ground. And the first out, robbing Lucroy of a base hit.
And the bad luck continues for Luke. I mean, that's kind of the way things were going for him before he got hurt. John Jay getting a good jump on that baseball, able to haul it in before it hit the ground. Luke hitting some really bad luck in the month of April before that injury.
1 away for Ryan Braun. We're just underway from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. First of 3 here in St. Louis. The Brewers start a 3-city, 9-game, 10-day road trip. Minnesota next, the first place Twins, and then the Pittsburgh Pirates will conclude the road trip.
That's the 2 first place teams the Brewers are going to be matching up against. First 2 cities of this trip.
Yesterday, Ryan Braun had 7 at-bats. He went 1 for 7. Also had a walk in yesterday's game. He drove in a run. His average coming in is 264. Had a big month of May, especially in the RBI category. Braun won the Brewers Player of the Month. That's a shot right off the pitcher Garcia, and his throw is in time, and Braun goes tumbling at first.
Now look out. Looks like he's all right. He's got a smile on his face. I mean, that's the way you break an ankle right there.
It was a heck of a play by Garcia, and the athletic trainer's on his way out to check on him. A shot off the bat of Braun.
It could be 3 base hits to start this ball game, but Garcia able to make a nice play after it hit him. John Jay making a good play coming in. Instead of 3 hits and probably a run in, the Brewers have a man at second and 2 outs. That ball up in the zone. Braun hits it right back through the middle, gets a piece of the pitcher, but able to recover and get the out. Look at Braun. Very fortunate that he didn't pop an ankle or worse. Just got him by half a step.
Close play there. And this will be the definitive look here as it gets into Reynolds' glove. Yep, good call. A bang, bang play at first base, but the Brewers will not challenge this. Garcia's got to prove he can continue on here, make a few pitches. Says he's all right. Thumbs up. Now, so 2 hits taken away. Lucroy and Braun. Let's see where it got him.
Might have hit him on the foot. Not sure where it got him. Looked like it might have got him on the foot and then bounced up.
All right, so 2 away. Garcia continues, and here is Carlos Gomez. Back in the cleanup spot here tonight. Gomez with a couple of hits yesterday. 2 for 7 at the plate. Did have a run batted in. He also walked. Some slow roller that is going to roll foul. One of Gomez's hits was a lot like that, except it stayed fair and he was able to leg it out. What a game last night, Rock. 17 innings. I guess we call it last night. It ended at night. Started as a day game. 5 hours, 49 minutes the time of the game. Matt Garza got the win. He went 5 scoreless innings in relief.
And didn't really know if he was even going to be pitching until the 10th inning. Rick Counts went over and said, "Can you help us out?" He put his stuff on and got ready to go. So good job by Garza, snapping a 4-game losing streak for Garza with the win yesterday.
Garza was supposed to start here tonight. But those 5 scoreless, what a great effort. Great team win. The plane to St. Louis was enthusiastic. A team that hasn't had a whole lot to cheer about. Ton of injuries, some tough losses, a poor record. Last night, though, was a night that they could cut loose a little bit. And everybody contributed for the most part. It's one of those games. The Brewers used 9 pitchers. Gomez with a base hit into left, and that will bring a run in. A 2-out RBI single. And the Brewers strike first here in St. Louis.
Garcia not fooling anybody, is he? All 4 guys that have hit have been able to make pretty good contact. Could be 4 consecutive hits, but you can see where that pitch ends up. Right down the middle, up in the strike zone, and Gomez able to hit it hard into left. And with Segura's speed, he's able to score run number 1 for the Crew. So they take an early lead.
And here is Aramis Ramirez with Gomez, a base stealing threat at first.
Garcia with a pretty good move to first base. He holds runners well, and you've got the equalizer behind home plate. And Yadier Molina, not too many throw better than he does.
With that gold patch on his chest protectors, multiple gold gloves in his career. Actually won a platinum glove as well. That's a grounder over to third. Carpenter has it, and the throw is there to retire the side. So the Brewers get a run, a 2-out RBI from Gomez. 1-0 Milwaukee. Here comes Mike Fiers. Here tonight in St. Louis, and the Cardinals are coming up against Mike Fiers. Let's check the Cardinals Potawatomi batting order here tonight. As turned in by Mike Matheny, Colton Wong, Matt Carpenter, Matt Holliday. Top three in the order. You got Johnny Peralta, Yadier Molina, Jason Hayward in the middle with Mark Reynolds, John Jay, and Jaime Garcia. You see a ton of left-handers in the lineup for St. Louis, and Mike Fiers is on the mound a day earlier than he expected.
But he's on his normal days of rest. But he started last time out against San Francisco, picked up a loss. He was working on 3 days rest. It was a 3-1 loss for Mike. 5 innings, only 2 runs, making career start tonight, number 7 against the Cardinals. He's 2-2, but a nifty 1.69 earned run average. So he's pitched well against St. Louis.
Imperative that Fiers give the Brewers some innings here tonight. He's been a 5-inning pitcher this year. He needs more than that. Not a good start. Colton Wong with a base hit, and the Cardinals leadoff hitter is aboard. The Cardinals made a change in their batting order with Wong leading off. They dropped Hayward down in the order. They were winning before that happened, and they've been winning since, but it has given them a little bit different look.
Yeah, given a little bit of speed at the top of the batting order. Colton Wong, I mean, the on-base percentage is not all that great, but he's a base stealer. But he's only got 4 stolen bases. The idea is you get Carpenter a little bit further down in the order. He's going to get good pitches to hit with Holliday behind him. And with Wong's speed, always good to have a left-handed batter, creating problems for that catcher.
Here's Matt Carpenter. Carpenter was hitting lead off, had some really strong numbers as a leadoff hitter, but you see where he ranks in Major League Baseball. He is number 1 in doubles, runs and walks. He's tied for 2nd in all of Major League Baseball. He's up there in hits. He's just one of the great hitters of the game. But it is interesting that his batting average was 100 points higher as a leadoff batter than it is as a 2-hole hitter.
I get the sense that he can hit just about anywhere in the lineup, and he's not going to change his approach based on where he's hitting.
Carpenter, a very patient hitter at the plate. Actually missed a little time last month in early May. Fatigue was the reason given, and the Cardinals were very concerned about that it might be developing into something more chronic, but he missed 4 games. He came back, and he has been fine since. There's a strike. Cardinals are without one of their big boppers. Matt Adams is scheduled to have surgery on a quad injury on Friday, and that's going to take him out probably for the season. At the very best, he could return in 3.5 months.
Yeah, which means former Brewer Mark Reynolds is going to get a lot of playing time at first base.
2 balls and a strike on Matt Carpenter. Check on Wong. Close play. Looked like he had a mind to run.
Yeah, they've got 2 guys on the disabled list, but they continue to win. Adam Wainwright is on the DL, one of the best pitchers in baseball, and Matt Adams. But they've been able to, make up the difference.
Yeah, Mark Reynolds carrying the load at first base, the Brewer last year. Fiers working at a 2-1 count with Wong at first, and he starts, then stops, and Carpenter takes a strike.
He thought about it, just didn't get a good jump. That's probably why Carpenter took it. Another reason why Carpenter's a good number 2 hitter, not afraid to work the count and let Wong run.
Another check on Wong. Tell you, Fiers has a very quick move to first. If those 2 throws are lower and toward the bag, he might have a chance at an out.
Yep, good footwork.
Does have an error this year, a throwing error on a pickoff play to first base. Don't know if that's in his mind or not. 2-2 on Carpenter with the speedy Wong at first. A leadoff single. Yeah, Carpenter able to lay off. 3 balls and 2 strikes to count.
Always important for Mike Fiers to be able to throw that curveball for strikes. He's been having a difficult time with it so far. Missed it down in the zone. That's where you want to miss. If you're going to miss with that breaking pitch, you don't want to hang it.
It's an interesting weathered night here. Game time temperature 65 degrees to start it, but it feels cool.
You look cold over there.
Yeah.
All right.
Jacket on, and it's like
feeling okay.
Feels a little damp on the mighty Mississippi. 3-2. Wong goes. Carpenter pops this one up. And over to make the play is Gerardo Parra. Wong will retreat. And there is the first out.
Check out the Brewers defense. Brought to you by Menards tonight. Gerardo Parra in left. He's going to get a lot of playing time with Chris Davis on the disabled list. Gomez and Braun round out the outfield. Ramirez, Segura, Sardinius, and Rogers. Rogers gets another start with the left-hander on the mound tonight. And great to have Jonathan Lucroy back. Went on the disabled list on April 21st. It's been almost 6 weeks on the DL. Here he is.
The anchor of the Brewers defense behind the plate. Here's Matt Holliday with 1 away and Wong at first base. And as anxious as Wong was to run with Carpenter at the plate, typically will play it station to station with the power hitter Matt Holliday up there, although Holliday's only hit 3 homers this year, which is surprising. He's hitting .318.
And first hitter, 4 hitters in the batting order for the Cardinals over 300. It's not a team that hits a ton of home runs, and that's going to go down even more with Matt Adams on the DL. They can score some runs.
Holliday has an impressive streak going. He has reached base safely in his first 44 games. Did not play yesterday. Mike Matheny was saying that it was an interesting comment. A lot of managers will say, look, we're all about the team, you know, streaks come and go and in the flow of the game. Matheny took the opposite approach. He said, you know what, records, especially major league records like that, are important. They're important to the individual, and it's been on his mind about Matt Holliday. They had a lead yesterday. There was some discussion about pinch hitting Holliday. Close play again at first. It turns out they didn't need it because the Cardinals were able to win the game 3-1 yesterday.
That helps.
Martinez pitched a dandy.
You're down 3-1, a little bit different.
Right.
And plus when you're 33-17, that helps as well to make decisions like that.
Caught for the Brewers in the late 90s, did Matheny. Still a favorite amongst those who knew him then and saw him as a Brewer.
Yeah, one of the toughest guys I've ever run across in baseball, for sure.
His first 3 years as Cardinal skipper, he has been to the postseason each and every year. Three balls and a strike. Fiers really has the slowdown going in this first inning, which he will do with runners on base.
Just having a very difficult time, you know, commanding his pitches. That's what it's all about. He needs to be able to get outs quick and counts tonight. He needs to get into the 6th inning.
Now a hitter's count for Holliday. And he lost him. So a single to start the inning, a walk now, first and second with 1 out. That is an anxious Craig Counsell tonight, more so than most other nights based on what happened in the 17-inning game yesterday. The Brewers had to send Tyler Wagner out. He was, by all accounts, going to stay with the Brewers, probably make another start. He started yesterday's marathon, but Wagner had to be sent back to Double-A so the Brewers could get a fresh arm here.
Yeah.
And that fresh arm is another Tyler Cravey, who we saw a lot of in spring training this year.
Yeah, who is slated to start tomorrow, but is in the pen and available tonight.
Johnny Peralta sends one foul down the right field line. He was the hitting star yesterday. Let's take a look at that Brewers bullpen. Saw Will Smith there as well. He's awaiting on the suspension. He met with arbitrators today. And no decision going to come down on that till at least Friday, we're told. So he's still active.
And 9 pitchers down in that bullpen for the Brewers. I mean, that's unheard of. But you have tomorrow's starter down there just in case Fire's not able to go too deep. And that creates a different issue for Craig Counsell for tomorrow if in fact Cravey has to pitch today.
Ball and a strike, and Lucroy keeps it in front. So 2-1 now to Peralta.
I was talking to Lucroy about any special protection he's given. You know, the end of his shoes, the toes. He's wearing the hard toes, like the pitchers wear on both feet, and he's got the extra long foot protection on the shin guards. See the way it hangs over, gives him a little bit more protection on a foul tip.
Just foul by Peralta. I asked Lucroy about those toe guards that he's wearing. He goes, I don't like them at all. It really disrupts my footwork. And he's going to give it a go tonight just to try it. But he does not like it. He feels that piece dragging on the ground.
Yeah. And the footwork is everything when you're behind home plate.
2-2, 2 men on. Peralta fouls another one off. 3 RBIs yesterday for Peralta. He drove in all 3 runs for the Cardinals as they beat the Dodgers 3-1. And Johnny Peralta with 30 RBIs. Only Brandon Crawford has more ribbies as a shortstop.
Well, that's what they expected when they got Peralta. What they didn't expect is good defense. He's only committed 3 errors this year.
There's a called strike 3. Peralta got caught guessing. Fires strikes him out for the second out of the inning. First K for Mike Fiers.
Yep, and caught that one right down the middle of the plate, just at the knees, and Peralta, he knew it. Might have been looking at that curveball and the changeup.
Six pitch at bat to Peralta. Fiers has 19 tosses here in this first inning and will face Yadier Molina. Molina comes in batting .284, driven in 19. Lost a ton of weight this offseason. He shed about 25-30 pounds this offseason. He's been able to maintain his svelte posture and says it helps him out, keeps him a little lighter on his feet. He's been able to catch as much as he's wanted to this year.
And he's always been dangerous in these situations with men on base. With that approach that he takes up the middle into right field, one of the toughest guys in baseball to strike out year to year.
An excellent opposite field hitter. 2-0 is the count. Brewers lead 1-0 on a Carlos Gomez RBI. That came with 2 outs in the first. And Fiers battling here. It's 3-0 now. Those are the numbers with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. He is 7 for 20. At his best in spots like this. He swings 3-0. It's right to Ramirez, and a race to the bag is in time. How about that? A little bit of a gift. Molina had the green light. Strands a couple. We head to the second. Single. We head to the second now, and St. Louis, the star from last night, Martin Maldonado. How about his day? 4 hits. He caught all 17 innings, and when everybody needed it, he hit one out. Powerball home run number 3, a walk-off in the 17th. First player in the history of the major leagues to catch 17 innings, and they hit a walk-off homer.
Hit a walk-off home run with Matt Garza on deck, and right. Nobody available. So Nuno making a mistake, and Maldonado sent everybody at Miller Park home happy.
You know, that is a great point. Garza was the next hitter, and Maldonado in his prior 2 at-bats had been pitched around to try to get to Garza, but there was only 1 out that time.
Right.
So they pitched to Maldonado, and he made him pay. Jason Rogers will lead off for the Brew Crew. He gets another start at first base. Rogers was one of those who had a number of opportunities to win that game last night. So frustrating for him. He did have 2 hits yesterday. He was 2 for 7. He stranded 5 runners on base.
Yeah, it came up 3 times with runners in scoring position. Yeah, but whoever lost that game was going to be upset with themselves, because both teams had a lot of opportunities, stranded a lot of runners.
Yeah, the guy who's kicking himself the most was in that other dugout, Ender Inciarte, who was 1 for 8, and he left 8 runners on base, and he didn't even start the game. Came in mid at bat in the first innings. Rogers sends one deep to right field. Hayward is going back. He's feeling for the wall, and he's got it. Jason Hayward using all of that frame as he makes the catch on Rogers. Boy, too bad that wasn't at Miller Park. That would have been long gone.
Yeah, check out the Menards Cardinals defense. They've committed 29 errors this year. That's good for 7th in the National League. Hayward covers a lot of ground out there in the outfield. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Reynolds from 3rd to 1st. And the best in the business behind home plate, Yadier Molina hanging the signs for Jaime Garcia.
Well, the Brewers have hit a lot of balls hard already, and very little to show for it. Braun hit a liner off of the pitcher Garcia. Lucroy hit a liner to center that was caught by Jay, a diving catch. And this line drive to the wall by Rogers. Here's Gerardo Parra, dropping down in the order with the left-hander on the mound. So with Chris Davis on the disabled list, Parra is going to be the everyday left fielder for the foreseeable future. Davis is going to require surgery on his right knee. He has a meniscus tear.
Man, just when you thought that things were going to start to get back to normal for Milwaukee, another injury.
There's a strike to Parra.
Two guys on the DL that were on the opening day roster, Davis and Willie Peralta. Scooter Gennett got sent down.
Well, we'll see how Parra does against the left-handed stylings of Jaime Garcia. He has done well this year when he's gotten the chance. Has 6 hits against lefties and batting .375. Does have a homer against a lefty.
One thing about lefties against Garcia, it takes away maybe his best pitch, the changeup.
They'll ask if he went. He did not. Able to check his swing, and the count goes full, 3-2.
Typically, Jaime Garcia does not throw changeups to left-handed hitters. Fastball, slider. Just about every one of the changeups that he throws are to right-handers.
Parra will slice this one foul in the seats. So good at bat for him. He's hanging tough. He's seeing a lot of pitches. Parra believes he is an everyday player and wants to prove that he can handle left-handed pitching and be a part of that lineup every day. He's already won 2 Gold Gloves. He's a very accomplished outfielder. So the Brewers certainly upgrade their outfield defense. Swinging a foul in and out of the glove of Molina.
Well, he has been an everyday player this year, just about.
Yeah, feels like it.
49th game for Gerardo Parra in game number 52.
Even when he doesn't start, he usually hits or plays defense. Big part of what the Brewers do with their lineup each and every day. Another payoff pitch. That one's in there. Called strike 3. Parra is out. Second strikeout for Jaime Garcia. Both have been, I beg your pardon, the first strikeout for Garcia.
They carved up that outside corner with that fastball that time, and that was pitch number 8. So Parra, a strikeout victim, but he made him pay.
Off the plate, a touch, according to Fox Tracks.
I should say he made him work, not made him pay.
So the first K for Garcia. Here is Sardinhas now. Luis played all 17 innings yesterday at 2 hits. Was 2 for 8.
Brewers did not make any changes defensively throughout the entire day. They used all 4 of their bench players to pinch hit.
Out to Peralta, and Sardinhas is retired. Garcia works a 3-up, 3-down second inning. Brewers up 1-0. Cardinals coming up in the home second.
Hotel and Casino. The Brewers with a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the second. And while the bullpen had to cover 13 1/3 innings in yesterday's 17-inning game, it compounds a bigger issue for Craig Counsell and his starting rotation that they have gone past the 6th inning just one time in their last 9 games. And he said before the game, it's very difficult. He said, we've been fortunate with some off days, but we need our guys to go deeper into games and give our bullpen a break just to help out their effectiveness. He said, certainly they're more effective when they're well rested. It allows them to stay in their proper roles, and also with less innings to cover, he says he can play more matchups and get them into better situations to be successful. And that's been the story for Mike Fiers in his start to this season. He's got a lot of strikeouts, 63, but that also leads to high pitch counts. He leads all of baseball with nearly 19 pitches per inning, and has gone past the 5th inning just 2 times this season.
Yeah, that's a very important note on Fiers, and it really shows its head here tonight with the Brewers in the pitching predicament that they are in. And Fiers understands that. He wants to be a more efficient pitcher, and just not getting the strikeouts, the put-away pitch that he was last year when he came up and was so dominant when he came up for the injured Matt Garza. And it was his effort last year that earned him a spot in that rotation this year. Jason Hayward starts it for St. Louis. He'll be followed by Mark Reynolds and then John Jay. And Hayward, a pop-up. Moving into foul territory as Rogers one away. Well, you look at Mike Fiers across his last 4 starts. He took a loss his last time out. He has not been able to pick up a win in his last 4, Rock. His last victory and only victory came against the Cubs in a 6-inning game, and only twice this year has he gone at least 6.
And the fact of the matter is, 6 starts in the month of May, 1 and 2, but a 382 earned run average. And those last 4 starts in May, he allowed only 2 runs per start, but again, he was only able to go past the 6th inning 1 time. I mean, he gave up 14 runs in the month of May, but 5 of them came in a start against the Dodgers at Miller Park. And it's not so much the command of the fastball for Mike Fiers, it's the other pitches, the ancillary pitches, the curveballs, the cutters that he's not been able to find the strike zone with. And that's what's getting the pitch count up. And it was just the opposite last year. He was able to throw the changeup, the cutter, the curveball, flip those pitches up for strikes, and that's when he was able to elevate that fastball because he was ahead in the count and get those strikeouts.
Facing Mark Reynolds with 1 out.
Yeah, those 2 cutters right there are missing badly. I mean, and when you miss off the plate like that with the cutter, and it's that much of a break, hitters aren't going to swing at it. There it is.
Yeah, that's the one he was looking for. Caught the edge with that cut fastball. 2-2 now.
He seems to like to go to that when he doesn't have the feel for his curveball. And that's kind of been the case for him, so far this year.
Well, Fiers, on one hand, he has by all means kept his team in the game in those 4 starts, but because he's only going 5 innings and having a hard time getting to the 6th, as Reynolds muscles one into right, a base hit. So on a 3-2 count, Mark Reynolds singles. Second hit for St. Louis.
Boy, how many times did you see Mark Reynolds do that last year, going to right field? I mean, very rarely, if ever, do you see Reynolds do that. Just throws the bat out there and gets it over the head of Jason Rogers. So a bloop base hit into right field. That's what we're talking about. Only 5 hits to right field. He's a dead pull hitter most of the time.
He is aboard for John Jay. I think every starting pitcher feels that burden to go deep into a game, give the bullpen a night off, or at least more rest than when you have to leave after 5 innings. You have to start getting into all the mixed match situations. And so while Fiers is going along okay and only giving up those 2 earned runs per start in his last 4, he's not pleased with how he's pitching right now. He's not devastated by it, but he knows it's important to try to get some things figured out so he can work into the 7th, maybe in the 8th.
And Counsell's not talking about 8, 9 innings. He's talking about get into the 7th inning for me. Get me to the 7th.
On the ground, Segura got a late break, gloves it, shovels it to Sardinas. What a play. They get the out, the lead out at second base on a beautiful backhanded flip by Segura.
Yeah, good balance to be able to, stay on his feet, to be able to get a good flip backhanded over to Sardinas. And Sardinas, seeing him go back, he gets the bag and acts like a first baseman to take the throw. It's a nice play by Segura to get to it, be under control, and make a good flip on the backhand to get the out. And the good right guy running too, Mark Reynolds.
Boy, it made it look easy. That is not an easy play with awkward setup with your body and the way you got to throw it behind you like that to put anything on it.
I think his size helps him a lot in that. I mean, to stay on his feet and have that good balance.
Jaime Garcia sends one deep into center, but wrong ballpark and the wrong night. Gomez, he made the catch. He forgot there were 3 outs. Just unleashed it just for good measure. They're all smiling at him. 13-pitch inning for Fiers. Great play by Segura. Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. By Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. And by Hupy and Abraham, 800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham, tell them you mean business. To the 3rd inning we go at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Busch Stadium version 3. Downtown St. Louis. Just off the banks of the mighty Mississippi, the Big Muddy. And the arch, the gateway to the west. Great setting, another big crowd here tonight. They draw very well here. Cardinals play very well here. They are 11-2 in their home games against National League Central opponents. They've won 10 consecutive games against division opponents in this ballpark. Brewers would love to break that streak here tonight. Fiers a lead off, the Brewer pitcher, and then back to the top of the order with Segura, then Lucroy.
And the Cardinals, one of 3 teams already with over 1 million fans in their home games. Brewers aren't far away. They're about 60,000 away from the 1 million mark. Milwaukee fans have nothing to be ashamed of. That's outstanding.
2-0 the count. Fiers will roll one foul. Fires not much of a threat at the plate. Does have a couple of RBIs this year or in his career. He'll get his money's worth up there at the plate. Swinging the bat this season. Fires is 1 for 14. And the 2-2. Fires down on strikes. Garcia threw him a wrinkle.
Put a little change up on him. That ain't fair.
Back to the top of the order now. Here is Gene Segura. Well, Segura had a chance at a cycle yesterday, but in his 3 games since returning from the disabled list, hitting at a .438 clip with a couple of doubles, had a triple yesterday. He had 4 tries at a home run to hit for the cycle yesterday. Couldn't quite get it done, but he had a great day. He was 4 for 8. He drove in 2.
And had Maldonado not hit that ball in the ballpark, he had another shot at it.
He was about ready.
But you notice where all those hits were that you saw in that those highlights there? Center and right. Something that he had a very difficult time doing most of the year last year.
That's where his base hit was in the first inning, down the right field line. He's got his average up to .287. Fractured right pinky finger was his injury that put him on the DL for 2 weeks.
Most of Brewers hits in last night's or yesterday's ball game came up the middle into the opposite field. This is what Segura's been doing. He's only pulled 8 of his hits this year, and most of those have come on off speed pitches up in the strike zone. Fastballs up the middle and the right, and pulling a curveball that hangs up in the zone.
He's got the count in his favor, and that one's to the right side, but right at Wong. Out number 2.
Garcia's starting to get settled in a little bit. I mean, and that's what normally happens if you get to him. Ordinarily, it's early. The Brewers hit some balls hard. First inning, only able to muster 1 run.
2 up, 2 down for Garcia. Carlos Gomez with the RBI single in the first, came with 2 outs. Lucroy, Carsoup.com trivia. Only 2 players to play more games as a catcher than Lucroy in a stretch from 11 to 14. A 4-year stretch is the question tonight. He has been a workhorse behind the plate, no question. Lucroy started to play a little first base last year. That is not necessary at this point. Brewers just had a hard time finding anybody to play first who could give him a little punch offensively, especially from the right side. Lucroy did a pretty good job over there. And you could see him eventually playing first base, the way he swings the bat. I know he loves to catch, and he's like Buster Posey in that regard. He's not real eager to give up first base. Joe Mauer was the same way. But when you have talent like he has as a hitter, you want to try to keep that bat in the lineup as much as you can. Peralta rounds it and throws him out. 1-2-3 inning for Jaime Garcia. He's retired 7 straight.
I can go out here and compete at a high level and get back to, competing and battling, on this stage. So toe feels good. Don't even feel it anymore. Pain's gone, and body feels good. Caught a lot. Had a lot of AB, so I feel ready to rock.
That's Jonathan Lucroy back behind the plate after missing 38 games for the Brewers with that broken right toe. And as you heard, he feels really good after that 4-game rehab assignment where he hit .250 with the Brevard County Manatees. And he said, man, he just hated not being able to play, not being able to contribute and help out his teammates. And he said it was hard just sitting there and watching, seeing guys pitching that he felt he could get some hits against. So he said he's ready to go and he's really fired up to be back here with his teammates.
Yeah, and it's good to have him back. The Brewers certainly needed him, and the injuries have started to mount for Milwaukee. It's not the reason that the Brewers are 17-34 and open play today with the worst record in the major leagues. It is a contributing factor, but it's not the main reason. And there are a lot of teams who are in first place, like the Cardinals, that have sustained major injuries. Cardinals lost their ace, and they lost one of their big home run hitters in Matt Adams. But Craig Counsell now starting to finally get some of his pieces together with Lucroy coming back, Segura returning last Friday. You're hoping the injury to Davis is going to be a minimal stay on the disabled list. It is an MCL injury, or a meniscus injury, I should say, and so you're hoping he can come back.
And with all these starters that the Brewers have missed, it certainly did not help in their effort to get back to normal and get off to a terrible start before the injuries began. But it didn't help that a lot of the guys that they were counting on to drive in runs were hurt on the DL.
Colton Wong into right field. Braun will run it down for the out. Coming in quickly to retire Wong, who lines out. And that'll bring up Matt Carpenter. It's a very dynamic top of the order for the Cardinals. As a matter of fact, Fiers was able to do something tonight that has not been done in the last 7 games. The Cardinals have scored first inning runs in 7 consecutive games leading up to tonight. They had 2 on in the first inning, but Fiers was able to get Molina on a 3-0 pitch. Got him to ground out to end the inning.
Yeah, it wasn't even a good pitch to hit. I mean, it looked like it was in on him. He jammed himself in an easy ground out to third. But you look at that batting order, the first 5 in that batting order at 300 are very close. These guys can rake. Make no mistake, they can hit. One of the better hitting teams in baseball, and certainly the best pitching staff in baseball when you talk about earned run average.
Holiday due next. Derek Lilliquist, the Cardinal pitching coach. He's a good one. Took over for Dave Duncan under his tutelage for many years. There's a called strike 3. Fiers, rings the bell on the corner. Carpenter is shocked that he was called out on strikes by Rob Drake. A stare down.
Can't believe it. Didn't say a whole lot, but just kind of perplexed. Let's see where it is. Looked like it might have been a couple of, maybe an inch off the plate. I think these guys are that good. They can see that pitch is, that close to off the outside corner. I don't know. Maybe they must be. Well, maybe that's why I'm still in the booth. I could never be that close on the strike zone.
It's the same pitch that Parra got called out on. There's Holiday. Holiday reached his last time up with a walk. He set a National League record. 45 consecutive games reaching base to start a season. Records go back to 1900. He's still 5th all time. Derek Jeter has the Major League record. Derek Jeter in 1999 reached base 53 consecutive games to start the season in 99. It was a World Series year for them and the Yankees. So you got Derek Jeter, Frank Thomas, Mark McGwire. Thomas and McGwire did it in the same year, 96. They reached base at 52 times to start a year for Thomas, 48 for McGwire. Then Alvin Davis in '84. And then there was Matt Holliday.
Alvin Davis, great hitter with the Seattle Mariners. He was in my era. He could hit. Good eye at the plate.
1984 was the year he reached base 47 times. That would be next on Holliday's list. If he gets on tomorrow, he'll have a chance at that on Wednesday, which will be the final game of this series. Cut it a foul.
He's starting to get better command of the breaking stuff as Mike Fiers, and he needs it. 49 pitches. Next pitch will be 50 in the third inning.
Two and two the count. And he got him. Fiers starting to find that breaking ball. Strikes out Matt Holliday, who disagrees. 1-2-3 inning with a couple of Ks for Fiers.
To nothing and celebrate Go-Go's 2014 All-Star season with the Carlos Gomez All-Star bobblehead given to all fans at Miller Park courtesy of Pepsi. Sunday, June 14th, as the Brewers close out their series against the Nationals. Visit Brewers.com to reserve your spot today.
We want to say hello to the Johnsons from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. They are here tonight. Eric and Julie and 9-year-old Brett. Brett is 11-1 attending Brewers games this year. Only game he lost attending a game was the White Sox game, according to his mother.
Really?
So I'm glad Brett's here tonight in St. Louis. Good work. Looking for his 12th win. What are the odds?
11-1. The Brewers have 17 wins.
I know. Maybe it's over the course of his 9 years on this earth.
Yeah, I know. I was just playing along.
Otherwise, suit him up.
Put him on the plane.
Make him the bad boy and
Pack
travel.
him up. Yep.
Ryan Braun leads off. Garcia deals a strike. And Braun checking on Rob Drake a little bit. Hitters are not happy with the calls of the home plate umpire.
Matt Carpenter had a long discussion between innings with Rob Drake, between home and third, and maybe trying to work out their differences perhaps. Maybe Rob Drake will be a little bit kinder to Carpenter next time up. All three of Mike Fiers' strikeouts are called strikes.
Braun in the air to right, routine for Hayward. And the first out. Now we've talked often about pace of play here in the booth, and we've talked about some of the measures that could increase that. And you know, Rob Drake, he's calling strikes. He's got a big zone here tonight, no question. But if you want to promote a quicker game and a more aggressive game, hitters swinging the bat earlier in the count, then just call a few strikes early. That'll get guys swinging.
Yeah, well, I don't think the game's ever going to go back to the way it was, you know, back in the old days where guys were hacking first pitch all the time, and you get those 2-hour and 20-minute games to be the norm. But combination of pitchers trying to be too cute on the corners and pitchers, or I should say hitters, working the count, you know, not swinging until they have to. The thing that gets you sometimes, I mean, you be patient at the plate to get the count in your favor. Hitters continue to take 1-0, 2-0, 3-1 pitches. Why do that? I'm not sure.
Gomez, he's always ready to hack. Grounds to short, and a low throw dug out over there by Reynolds.
Well, you're not losing anything. That probably gained a little bit defensively with Mark Reynolds over there at first base, with Matt Adams on the disabled list. We mentioned that Johnny Peralta with only 3 errors. That might be one of the reasons. A good pick by Reynolds to save him an error that time.
2 up and 2 down. Now it's time to take a look at the T-Mobile game changer. And the most RBIs career against the Cardinals. Aramis Ramirez is climbing the list. Only Mike Schmidt and the Hawk, Andre Dawson, ahead of him. Ramirez has played his entire career in the Central Division, competing against the Cardinals. 205 career games against this franchise. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wrapping up an 18-year career this season. Easy bouncer to Carpenter, and an easy 1-2-3 inning. 10 in a row for Garcia. 1-0 Brew Crew. We head to the bottom of the fourth. Has settled in now. He retired the side in order in the 3rd inning. It's worth another look, courtesy of Columbia St. Mary's. Take a look at his strikeouts tonight. 3 of them, they have all been backwards Ks, including a strikeout to Holiday to end the 3rd inning.
And starting to get better command of his off speed. The cut fastball, the curveball. Haven't seen too many changeups. But he's got to get a couple of those off speed pitches working for him to get through this game.
Johnny Peralta will lead off, the first strikeout victim for Fires, and he's up there swinging away early. Local newspaper today Talking about the acquisition of Johnny Peralta, which was very risky, coming off a PED suspension with the Tigers. Peralta singles to start the inning. And commenting that that could be, of all the moves that John Mozeliak has made, the general manager, that could be the biggest one yet. Desperate for a shortstop with the Cardinals, a shortstop that can hit.
And hit with power. He's had a good year defensively, only 3 errors. Doesn't have great range, but more times than not, if he can get to it, he's going to be able to make the play.
He's a club leader in homers. He's tied with Carpenter in that category. Originally an Indian, Cardinals signed him as a free agent after his tenure with the Tigers. Molina on the first pitch, deep to center. Gomez with room, and the first out of the inning.
One of the few hitters in this lineup that will attack early in the zone in the count. Yadier Molina hit that one hard, but the wrong part of the park.
And now Hayward.
That's the thing. I mean, you're a pitcher. You keep these guys from gap to gap. I mean, pretty good chance it's going to stay in the ballpark. Molina pulls that one down the line. It's a home run.
Especially on a cool night like this. Once it gets into the summer months and it heats up here at St. Louis, the ball travels a little bit better. But it's a pitcher-friendly park. I mean, I think most managers would call it a fair park, but there are more hitter-friendly parks than pitcher-friendly parks, especially in this division. So it feels like a bit of a reprieve. That ball Jason Rogers hit for an out would have definitely been a home run at Miller Park.
The ball's going to carry a little bit better on Wednesday, a day game here in St. Louis. Get the sun out, a little bit hotter. It does get humid here in St. Louis. That's an understatement. Sometimes that'll knock the ball down a little bit, the humidity in the air.
I thought you meant maybe they had some special edition Wednesday baseballs that travel further here in St. Louis.
You don't need a humidor here. You need the opposite. The dehumidifier for the fans.
I got to get my dehumidifier out, by the way.
You're not feeling too good, are you?
It's a swing and a miss.
You're over there just all bundled up.
I'm okay.
You all right? You sure?
Did you say something, Rob? It's a very chilly 65 degrees here today.
A little damp.
Well, if I drop, you finish up.
I'll do my best. We'll miss you, but you got to go. Go ahead.
Show must go on.
Yeah.
Just kind of roll me over to the wall here. There's a lot of room in this booth, so there's plenty of room to sprawl out.
You can put another half person in here.
Here's a 1-2, and Hayward takes ball 2.
Can Sophia do play-by-play?
I'm sure she could. She can do anything. She's very talented. No? You can do it, Sophia. She got that no out of her mouth faster than we could turn the microphone.
Yeah, we should tell her we're just kidding.
Need to offend her down there. Sophia's kind of town, though, St. Louis, with the Bowling Hall of Fame. She's a wizard on the lanes, I hear. Full count to Hayward. And Lucroy on his way out. He and Fiers not in agreement on this next offering.
Well, the high fastball is what Fiers usually gets his swinging strikeouts. Jason Hayward is a guy that doesn't pull the ball a whole lot. He likes to use left field. He's very good against lefties. Hangs right in there, but he does have the 5 home runs, but only 14 RBIs.
Yeah, he's had a down year. Traded for Shelby Miller. Miller is emerging as an ace for the Atlanta Braves. Had a good start against the Brewers on the last road trip. Hayward struggled a little bit. He's battled some injuries as well. A hip injury has affected him a little. They dropped him down in the batting order at the end of April. They took him out of the second spot in the order. It was Carpenter, then Hayward, then Holiday to begin the year. Hayward was actually in the leadoff spot occasionally as well. Braves always wanted him to hit leadoff, just never been a good fit for him. There goes the runner. Hayward swings and lines one to left, coming in. Parra, he's got it, fires to first, and it is not in time, but a good play by Parra. Send Peralta scampering back to first.
Right on cue, a line drive to left on the 3-2 pitch.
2 outs in the inning now. Say you can vote for your MVP and help us decide which Fox Sports Supports partner will be crowned the winner. The charity with the most votes at the end of this Brewers season will score big with a donation from Huppian Abraham. Choose from American Heart Association, Boys and Girls Clubs, and Fisher House, Wisconsin. To vote, visit foxsportswisconsin.com/supports. Fires with 2 outs. 1-0 Brewers. Mark Reynolds the batter. Reynolds had a single, a little flare single in the second. Got it right off the label, and he dumped it over the head of Rogers at first base.
And that was on a 3-2 pitch. Fiers has had a number of 3-ball counts already tonight. 60 pitches.
Two outs in the fourth. Another check on Peralta. Mark Reynolds had a number of opportunities this offseason. He chose the Cardinals. He liked the fit here. Figured he'd be a bat off the bench, occasional starts at first. Had the championship culture in St. Louis. That ball's in the air to left, playable for Parra, and Mike Fiers putting up zeros today when the Brewers need it most. 11 pitch inning, 4 shutout innings.
The Brewers look to knock off Bryce Harper and the visitors from the nation's capital. Call 414-902-4000 or go to Brewers.com to reserve your spot today.
Bryce Harper got drilled in the back in Cincinnati on Saturday. Did not play in last night's game, and Washington was scheduled to host Toronto tonight. That game has already been postponed. So just a few games on the slate tonight. 11 were scheduled. 2 have already been banged. Twins, Red Sox postponed as well. That's West Coast action tonight. A lot of West Coast games, as a matter of fact. Here's Jason Rogers. Brewers are trying to break up this run of consecutive outs for Jaime Garcia. He has retired 11 straight. I beg your pardon, 10 straight. And 12 out of 13. The Brewers got 2 hits and a run in the first. Hit the ball hard in the first inning. Lucroy had a hit taken away on a diving catch. Braun hit a liner off of Garcia. But he has been lights out since.
He gets settled in. I mean, good location on all of his pitches right now. The slider and the changeup, 2 very good off-speed pitches for him. And a terrific changeup with the right-handed batters for the Brewers.
A little slow tapper to the mound, and Garcia fires, and safe is the call. Reynolds couldn't keep a toe on the bag. Garcia was very nonchalant with that play, and then tried to hustle it over to first base with a throw, and it's an error.
Yep, good 2-seam fastball. Rogers tried to pull it. He takes his time, unwinds it, and Reynolds not able to hold the bag. And you see Joe West very excited about the play. Check him out. He makes that call, very nonchalant.
Well, a break for the Brewers. They finally get a base runner, the first since the first inning. And here is Gerardo Parra to face Jaime Garcia. Parra is the only left-handed batter in the lineup tonight. And although he struck out looking in the second inning, it was an 8-pitch at bat. Quickly 0-2. Parra coming up empty twice. Garcia with 2 Ks, has not walked a batter. The 2 hits were singles. Segura and Carlos Gomez with the base hits. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Parra just got a piece. That's a foul ball. Hit Parra.
Hit the plate and hit him in the head. It hit Parra in the helmet. Did you see the throw by Molina, though?
That was a bullet down there.
Here it comes, and it hits him in the head. But watch Molina. Boom. Strike to second base.
Little sidearm sling.
Just for good measure. Get a little practice in.
7 Gold Gloves and counting.
If you're a young kid and you want to catch, this is a good game to watch. You got 2 good ones back there.
On both sides of the ball as well.
Right.
Defensively, offensively.
The way they handle pitchers, call a game. Throw, block. I mean, I don't think there's any arguing that Molina's the best in the game. But Lucroy not too far behind.
2-2 now. And a check on Rogers. No real threat to run. The Brewers aren't running much these days. You see Gomez try to steal a base. Segura. That's about it for Craig Counsell.
Braun, he'll run once in a while.
with his bench coach Jerry Narron. 2-2 the count. And Parra wave and a miss. To overmatch the lefty-lefty matchup right there. Garcia found something in that at-bat, and the first out of the inning, third strikeout for Garcia.
Yeah, curveball that time. I mean, hadn't thrown too many of those. That was a 6-pitch at bat, and it got par. Last time up was an 8-pitch at bat.
So here is Sardinas now, the switch hitter. Bounced to short his first time up. Garcia spending a lot of time on the base runner at first, which is okay. Okay by the Brewers too.
Spend too much time with Rogers and make a mistake here to the hitter. Rogers not going anywhere. Sometimes a pitcher will either step off or maybe throw to first when he doesn't like the pitch that's called, but I don't think too many pitchers for the Cardinals shake off Molina. And no question who was in charge as far as calling pitches and what to throw.
Foul back. Sardinas making his third start at second base, appearing in his 15th game. He made his Brewers debut on May 16th. Made his first appearance as a Brewer against the Mets in New York at Citi Field. He played shortstop, had a long run at short while Segura was on the DL, and he played well enough to remain when Segura came off the DL.
He looks good at second base. Turns double play well. Big difference in turning two when you're playing short and second.
Had 3 different stints in the big leagues last year with the Rangers, and overall in 43 games he had 261. He's at 241 starting play today. And he's got the count in his favor. 3 balls and a strike. The pitcher fires is due up next. I figure Sardinas is going to get a good pitch to hit here. Pitchers get greedy with 1 out, and the pitcher coming up next.
I think you said that yesterday when Maldonado at the plate, right before he hit his home run.
That's right. 3-1. Sardinas, big bouncer to second for 1, and the Cardinals turn a double play. And now they'll have the pitcher fires leading off next inning. 1-0 Crew. We go to the bottom of the 5th.
And Casino, the Brewers 1-0 lead here in the 5th, and you can join Brewers pitcher Matt Garza and his teammates for the Brewers Bowl-a-thon on Sunday, July 19th. You can enjoy a VIP reception, silent auction, and of course bowling with the Brewers players while raising money for the Sojourner Family Peace Center, a safe haven for abused women and children. For more information, you can visit brewers.com/beyondthediamond, or you can call 414-902-4532. And Garza was scheduled to be tonight's starter, but instead picked up the win yesterday for his 5 shutout innings in that crazy marathon 17-inning game.
All right, Sophia, thanks. See, I told you she's a big bowler. She's big on the bowl-a-thon.
16-pound ball.
She does. The heaviest one. No problem. Puts a little spin on it. Carries about a 220 average. John Jay leads off. Fiers back at work as we play in the bottom of the 5th inning. And a strike. Fiers has dialed it up. He's only given up 3 hits in this game. All of them singles. Got into a little trouble to start the game with 2 on and 1 out.
He's been managing his pitch count pretty well since the 1st inning. A 23 pitch 1st inning. Since that time, it's been pretty good.
13, 14, and 11 pitches in their respective innings since. 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th. That slow curveball misses low.
Having a tough time with that pitch. I mean, the cut fastball is starting to come around tonight. Throwing too many change-ups. But he just can't get a feel for that curve tonight.
Jade, last time up, reached on a fielder's choice. And that one's into center field. Easy enough for Gomez. Out number 1.
There's a change-up, 83 miles an hour.
Fiers is 29 years of age. He got a late start at the big league level. And I think all throughout his minor league career, even back into his college career, I don't think anybody imagined that Fiers would be in a major league rotation at that time. He's kind of been an overachiever. He's never really changed how he pitches. But as he's gone on as a pro, started to become apparent that hitters just don't see the ball well out of Fiers' hands. Came up at 11 as a reliever and then really made a name for himself with the Brewers in 2012. Went to Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale. Still calls Florida home, Deerfield Beach. Been through a lot of adversity personally as well. 2 years ago, 2013, his mother passed away. He was really shaken up by that. Still has a tattoo of her on his right forearm, and said he thinks about her every day. He was having a rough season in the major leagues. He was worried about his mother. She had a chronic illness. And the Brewers ended up sending him from the major leagues down to Single A so he could be closer to his mom. The Single A affiliate is in Brevard County, Florida. So he'd pitch, make his start just to kind of stay in the routine and then go spend the next 4 days with his mother. And then he actually broke his arm, that left arm, that same season. Just a year to forget. Yep. So last year, Rock, was something special for him to come back when a lot of folks weren't sure physically or mentally what kind of pitcher Mike Fiers would be for the rest of his career. Maybe he had reached the end of the line.
And you said it earlier tonight. I mean, he was so good last year that he was penciled in as the number 4 starter. They were counting on Jimmy Nelson, and they elected, the Brewers elected to trade Giovanni Gallardo to make room for these guys. It's all about getting strike 1 for Mike Fiers. When he's able to do that, he gets hitters to chase that pitch.
Garcia, the Cardinal pitcher, strikes out. Number 4 for Fiers. Well, Thursday, June 18th, an American tradition comes to Fox and Fox Sports 1. Coming up for the first time, greatest golfers in the world converge on the Pacific Northwest. A chance to stamp their names in the history books. Our exclusive coverage of the 115th U.S. Open Championship from Chambers Bay, June 18th on Fox Sports 1, Fox, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. First of a long-term marriage between Fox and the United States Golf Association, and the crown jewel event, the U.S. Open. Looking forward to that.
Who do you got in that tournament? U.S. Opens, you gotta think
Accuracy in the U.S. Open, typically.
Do you?
Yeah, the fairways are usually extremely high. Chambers Bay, I've never played Chambers Bay, but know a lot about it, read a lot about it, and it is going to be a major test. It's going to be long too. U.S. Open is coming to Wisconsin in 2017. We are getting closer and closer at Erin Hills, the beautiful Erin Hills.
You still haven't answered my question.
Oh, you want me to come up with a name right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with Jimmy Walker.
With your buddy, huh? Oh, hey, pretty good curveball.
Yeah, Fires was walking off.
I think everybody was. Rob Drake is not making any friends out there tonight.
See where this one was. Big looping curveball.
I guess high. It was straight down the middle of the plate.
And now a 2-2. You remember when Jimmy Walker was in the booth with us a few years back?
I do.
Took him out to Cedarburg. Had a bang 'em up time back when the GMO was still running at Brown Deer.
We were doing our Miller appearances.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, buddy Keith Reed. That's right. Oh, all good fun. There's a swing and a miss. Fires, strikes out Wong to end the inning. Another 3 up, 3 down frame. He's pitching well. He's got 5 Ks. We'll see Lucroy in this frame. And our Carsoup.com trivia has to do with Lucroy. In that 4-year span, the only 2 players to play in more games as a catcher than Jonathan Lucroy. And the answer, Miguel Montero of the Diamondbacks, now with the Cubs, Yadier Molina, and then there's Lucroy. So
I don't think anybody would have guessed Montero.
He's been a workhorse for him, huh? Just comparing the offensive ranks for Lucroy and Molina. Molina at the top of the class, both sides of the ball, has more hits, more doubles, runs, and average. He's the top dog in that category. But there's Lucroy right behind him in most of those major categories. Last year, Molina was hurt and unable to participate in the All-Star festivities. Lucroy was voted in as an All-Star, and he ended up starting that game. Lucroy is due up third. Fires, starts it, and a hot shot. Peralta gloves it, spins, and throws him out.
Good soft hands by Johnny Peralta. I'll tell you, Fires hit that one right on the button. Tough hop. Peralta able to handle it. Good glove work by Johnny Peralta.
One away. Top of the order now. Gene Segura's in our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Seen some good plays defensively. This is the shining star of the night. Made it look easy.
And a nice flip on the backhand over to Sardinius, who two-hands it. And to get the sure out at second base.
That was off the bat of John Jay. Retired Reynolds. Could have been 2 on with 1 out in that inning had he not made that play. He swings at the first pitch. Much easier hop for Peralta. This time, 2 men are out.
Jaime Garcia making it look easy. Not using too many pitches to be able to get through these innings. 67 of them. With 2 outs in the 6th.
Cardinals had a low-scoring game yesterday. They beat the Dodgers 3-1. Carlos Martinez went 7 shutout yesterday. 8 strikeouts to beat the Dodgers. Cardinals won the series from Los Angeles. Best home record in the big leagues, best overall record in the big leagues. The St. Louis Cardinals. First team to 33 wins. And the only National League team with 30 wins. The Cardinals are 20-6 at home.
Yeah, only 13-11 on the road, right?
How about the Twins, huh? What a story.
How about the Astros?
How about the Royals?
I mean, no, I'm just saying. I mean,
you're right.
The Twins and the Astros. I mean, who would have thought?
I'm saying it is.
I mean, nobody's surprised at the Dodgers, but those 2 teams, Minnesota, Houston, making some noise.
Lucroy in a 2-1 count. Bouncing ball coming in as Wong, and Garcia just getting his ground balls. 3 up and 3 down, 3 ground ball outs. To the bottom of the 6th we go. Are coming up. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino.
Yeah, the Brewers post-game concert series continues on Saturday, June 13th, as the Brewers battle the Nationals, and OAR performs a free post-game concert courtesy of Pick and Save, featuring all of their biggest hits, including Crazy Game of Poker, Hey Girl, and more. For tickets, visit brewers.com/concerts. I'm not too much up on OAR, but from the folks I've talked to,
yeah,
they're good.
Okay.
Now, Joe Nichols, I can rattle off all his tunes.
It's good year this year for concerts.
Yeah.
Not just at Miller Park, but Summerfest is right around the corner, and looking forward to it. The State Fair, all good. Great time to be in Wisconsin. We are in St. Louis, and Fires first pitch swinging. Carpenter, a pop up into shallow left. Oh, and a basket catch by Parra.
First pitch swinging. Matt Carpenter, you don't see that too often. Now, we talked about the 3-ball counts that Fires has had. He's had 5 of them tonight, but he's also had 6 at bats where he's thrown 2 or fewer pitches. So it kind of equals out.
I think one of the key at bats in this game was way back in the first inning. Fires had 2 on with 2 outs and Molina at the plate. He got behind in the count 3-0 on Molina, and he had the green light. He swung away and grounded out, ended the inning. Fires was really struggling trying to find his command in that inning. Had over 20 pitches, and he's been rolling since. Working on a 3-hit shutout. The Brewers have just 2 hits. They both came in the first inning. As Holiday, a big cut in the miss right down the middle. Don't see Holiday miss those very often. Fires has got some deception working tonight. See what he does here. 0-2. He didn't bite on the high fastball.
He's been very good against the Cardinals. We talked about that in the first inning. This is his 7th start. He's only allowed 7 runs in now 42 2/3 innings.
Those are his numbers against St. Louis.
That's coming into tonight's game. And right now that ERA is looking even better.
Here at Busch Stadium, his ERA is 1.83. This is his 4th start, his 6th game here. So he's pitched well in this venue as well. Fires overall earned run average is 4.5, but he's been a much better pitcher on the road this year for whatever reason. 2.82 ERA in his 4 starts. This is start number 5.
Fly ball pitchers have a difficult time at Miller Park.
Fires has given up 7 home runs this season, and only one of those home runs, or all but one of those home runs, came at home. A swing and a miss. Holiday is down on strikes. Fires picks up another one, his 6th of the game.
Yeah, 6 strikeouts, and just about every one of the other outs have been fly balls. He's only gotten 2 ground ball outs tonight. So he works on that with that high fastball. There's that cut fastball, a pitch that he started to throw pretty effectively in the 3rd inning.
Here's Johnny Peralta. Takes a ball.
And if you're going to be a fly ball pitcher, this is not a bad night or a ballpark to do that. As long as you keep them away from the lines.
Only home run on the road that Fires has allowed was against the Cubs at Wrigley back on May 2nd. But he had 12 strikeouts in that game. He's sitting on 6 Ks tonight as we play in the 6th. 3 balls, no strikes on Peralta. And he lost him on 4 pitches. So Peralta has been on twice. Had a single in the 4th, and now he walks with 2 outs in the 6th inning, which will get Yadier Molina to the plate.
I think Mike Fiers is being very careful with Peralta. You know, when a pitcher is facing a hitter that has had good success, you're careful. You know, Peralta, including tonight, 7 for 13. That's not too bad. So you pitch around him a little bit. You go to Molina, where Molina hasn't had a lot of success.
Yeah, Molina in his career against Fiers, 3 for 18 now. 0 for 2 tonight. That walk snaps 8 consecutive retired by Fiers. Jaime Garcia had a stretch of 10 in a row retired. So both pitchers on their game. The Brewers with a lead courtesy of a 1st inning run, a 2-out RBI single by Gomez that he pulled into left field. Scored Segura. No balls and a strike. And Molina pops it up. Foul territory, long run. Rogers can't get there. Gave it a good effort. Count 0-2 on Yadier Molina. It's a lot of ground to cover.
A decent amount of foul territory here, which makes it even a better pitcher's ballpark.
A lot of foul balls that end up in seats in most of the newer stadiums. With the tight configuration of the stands and the box seats, those end up as outs here. Oh, 2, 2 outs. Fiers has Peralta at first, a slow runner. Just to remind him he's thinking about him. Fiers really working the corners here to get to 0-2. And Molina just laid the bat down, knocked down by Sardinas. Segura's got it, no throw. That'll be an infield hit.
Man, how do you hit that pitch? That ball literally on the dirt. I think Molina's bat hit the baseball as it ended up in the dirt. I mean, not only does he make contact on it, look at that. I mean, that pitch was, what, about an inch from the dirt? And goes down and gets it and ends up getting a base hit.
Right off the end of the bat and had some unusual spin, kind of like a changeup. That's how close Sardinas came to making the catch. Instead, it'll be an infield hit. And now 2 on with 2 outs for Jason Hayward.
Not many guys make contact on that pitch, let alone get a base hit.
It's got Vladimir Guerrero written all over it.
Yeah, right.
Yogi Berra. Bad ball hitters. Got to be careful to Hayward. He's got big power. Even though he's having a down year, he can still go deep at any moment. Matter of fact, right here on Wednesday, he hit a game-tying home run in the 9th inning. Cardinals would end up winning that game. They swept Arizona and then took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. They're on a 5-1 homestand with 3 to play against the Brewers. In there for a strike. Hayward jumped out of the box.
Yeah, look like either a cutter or a changeup. Not sure. 85 miles an hour. It's tough to tell tonight what he's throwing. And had a little bit of movement going in on Hayward. Cutter, not a lot of movement on it. And then caught the inside corner.
Hayward hasn't seen a whole lot of Fiers, but he has not had any success against him. He's 0 for 7 career, including his 2 at bats tonight. 2 on, 2 out. Big cut and a miss. 1-2 the count on Hayward. He did hit one hard his last time up. Hit a line drive right to Parra in left. Big spot for Fires. Brewers lead 1-0. Had 2 outs, nobody on, but a walk and a single, and he's got a little bit of trouble to deal with. The 1-2. An emergency hack, and Hayward just barely able to foul it off. Looked like he took that out of the middle. Lucroy.
And I was just getting ready to say, he just plucked that right out of his glove. And Hayward waits back very well, almost too long for a big guy like him. Likes to use left field.
That's Neil Cox loosening in the bullpen. Got a right-hander next. Then John Jay, a lefty, if it gets to that point. Fires trying to get him to the dugout, and Hayward fouls that one off. He was late again. That's the amazing thing about Mike Fiers. He can pitch up in the zone with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball and get big league hitters to jam themselves or foul it off late.
And the reason that Hayward's behind is because early in the count, those 2 cutters that Hayward wasn't able to figure out. A little off speed, able to get the fastball by him.
Let's see if he'll chase one here. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Cardinals have very little speed on the bases right now, and Peralta, the lead runner, and Molina, who's at first. All 3 outfielders for the Brewers throwing well. Not a guarantee that a run scores on a base hit,
but they are deep.
And the runners will start on the crack of the bat with 2 away. Big pitch coming from Fires. Long look in. Now he's got the one he wants. The 2-2. Hayward. Ooh, I think Lucroy got crossed up. Full count now. And the runners will get a head start.
Yeah, that's the last thing Fires wanted right there. Get a head start, makes it easier to score, and that curveball not even close.
Good numbers with a full count. Much better than league average. He has not had a lot of success with runners in scoring position this year. There were 2 outs. Full count, 2 away. The runners go, and Hayward gets jammed. A little pop-up. Lucroy is right there, and Mike Fiers pumped up on his way to the dugout. Strands 2 keeps the shutout intact. racked up 6 punch-outs and was threatened last inning for the first time since the first inning. Was able to get Jason Hayward on a little pop-up to end the inning.
Yeah, knuckle buster on a full count. Starting to pick up some strikeouts on that cut fastball. Really never was able to get a feel for the curveball tonight, and you would think that that might be the end of the line for him. Pitch count near 100 for Fiers. He's got 99 pitches, and there's activity in that Brewers bullpen. So he did exactly what Craig Counsell needed him to do. Get him to the 7th inning.
Jonathan Broxton in the Brewers pen as Ryan Braun leads off. Fouls the first one away.
Craig was saying before the game that their winning scenario in the bullpen is just fine. I mean, those guys are going to be fine to go again, and it was those early innings that they were going to have to eat up if Fiers wasn't able to get it done. That was the concern.
Well, Tyler Cravey, Tyler Cravey was called up to back up Fiers today. If Fiers could do what he's done here today, then it puts Cravey in a spot to start tomorrow. That's the hole the Brewers have because Peralta went on the disabled list. So there's Cravey. So with each passing inning, and I'm sure he'd love to see the Brewers score a bunch of runs here. I think every pitcher coming up, I mean, as much as you want to pitch in a game, to be able to get a start, get into your regular routine, that would be very important if the Brewers could make that happen.
I think that ship has sailed for him tonight, unless they go into extra innings. You don't even want to say that.
Bite your tongue.
Right. But I think if things keep continuing to go well, you're not going to see Cravey in the game, who was starting down in the minor leagues and pitching very well in his last 3 starts.
I didn't even recognize Cravey today. Remember spring training? He had the long locks.
Right.
Had the Samardzija hair going. Braun with a bouncer, and on a big hop, Carpenter makes the play for the out. So how much of this in your mind is the success of Jaime Garcia versus the fatigue after 17 innings yesterday and a travel day to St. Louis?
These guys aren't tired. When they're young, they had a good night's sleep. Jaime Garcia is a good pitcher. I mean, you know, he has the one pitch that has always given the Brewer Ball Club trouble. That's a changeup, and a good moving fastball. It doesn't throw hard, works the corners, he keeps the ball down, doesn't walk batters. In my experience, we've talked about this a lot, it's not today that you're concerned about with a game like yesterday or a long travel day. It's the following day that you have a tendency to feel a little bit tired and lethargic. You feel tired today?
I feel great.
I don't feel tired.
Well, I'm going to let you know tomorrow.
Of course, I didn't play.
Oh, yeah, I didn't either. Now that you mention it, I didn't play either.
Yuke's over there. He's not tired.
Carlos Gomez with one away, responsible for the only run on the board tonight. The ball's hit deep to right, but slicing foul. And the count at 2-1 on Carlos. He drove in a run with 2 outs in the first inning.
I tell you what, the team would be a lot more tired if they lost that game yesterday. That would have been a gut punch to lose that.
Good comeback yesterday. Looks like Fiers is done. He's already hat off. He's moved up to the top bench. Broxton continues to throw. There's a chopper, going to be a tough play. Peralta will not bother. Gomez with an infield hit. So the Brewers come up with their first hit since Gomez singled in the first inning.
And the only base runner that they've had, other than Rogers, he reached on an error. So 2 base runners since the first inning. And Gomez runs too fast. Peralta realized the only thing he's going to do is make things worse by throwing it away, so he just holds on to it.
Well, now does Counsell put some wheels in motion here? As Rock mentioned, Garcia with a good move, and you got Molina behind the plate. Ramirez loves the first pitch. Trying to do some damage here in this at-bat to give the Brewers a little cushion.
They might be willing to take a chance here. I mean, even if You know, Gomez takes off and Garcia goes to first. Sometimes you'll see Gomez beat that throw from the first baseman.
And you got to figure the pitches that are going to get Ramirez out are off-speed pitches, which are better pitches to run on if Ramirez should take.
Especially when those off-speed pitches are down in the strike zone. Tough for a catcher to be quick, get the footwork going, and get a good release to second base. But if anybody can do it, it's the guy behind home plate.
A lot of wheels in motion now as Ramirez takes a strike. I think he's trying to give Gomez an opportunity to run. Ramirez is on the Powerball home run leaderboard. He is third on the club. He got Braun with 12. He's in the top 5 in the league in that category. Lind with 8, and then Ramirez with 6. Ramos hits one on the ground. Carpenter's only play is first, and it's dug out by Reynolds.
Another save by Mark Reynolds. It's the second time tonight. Poor throw by Carpenter early in the game. He saved Peralta an error. And those are tough picks. Those in between hops.
They made it look easy. Reynolds was very impressive defensively at first base last year.
And this is not an easy play by Mark Reynolds right here. That is an in-between hop, and he handles it nicely and is able to keep the foot on the bag.
Wow. Tell you, if that gets by him, Gomez has a chance to score. He was busting it around second, just in case. Now 2 outs. Gomez at second. Here's Jason Rogers. Starts it with a strike. It's sweeping curveball.
A lot of guys might be a little bit careful with Rogers here with Gerardo Parra on deck. Parra's had a tough time against Garcia, but they went right after him at strike one. Not messing around.
Oh, and 2 now. Brewers haven't had many opportunities. Just one. That was Gomez in the first. And he delivered with an RBI single. Hadn't had a runner at second base since that first inning. 2 outs. 0-2 pitch. Down and in. Garcia, his third start of the season, missed the first 40 games. Coming back from off-season surgery. They call it thoracic outlet surgery. Actually remove a rib. There goes Gomez, and Rogers strikes out to end the inning. Brewers come up empty in the 7th. It's still 1-0. Stretch time in St. Louis. Garcia and Mike Fiers. Fiers is out, and he is right now in the winner's circle. Brewers baseball tonight brought to you by Potawatomi. Elian Herrera will take over at third, and Jonathan Broxton is in to pitch. So a double switch here for Craig Counsell. Might indicate he's trying to get an inning or two out of Broxton. The bullpen yesterday, 8 pitchers were used out of the bullpen yesterday. How about 13 1/3 innings and just 1 earned run? Jeffers gave up the only run. And Matt Garza went 5 shutout to earn the win.
Every guy in the bullpen worked yesterday except for Michael Blazek, who had worked quite a bit, but with a 25-man roster, Craig Counsell used 22 guys. Even had Kyle Loesch pinch hit.
Diamondbacks used 7 pitchers. They got 5 innings out of their reliever as well, Vidal Nuno. So here's Broxton, hoping to give him maybe 2 innings today. Reynolds on the first pitch, a base hit. The shift was on, and Reynolds banged it right through.
Well, what's he doing? Hitting 2 balls to right field. You never see that from Reynolds. Leadoff base runner for the Cardinals. Third time that's happened tonight. Beating the shift. Rogers not able to get there, so there's your tying run.
That was an intentional opposite field swing by Reynolds. And he hit it right on the nose to right. So a base hit, base runner for John Jay. Cardinals are at the bottom of their order. Pitcher spot due next, and Matheny's already sent Randall Grichuk out.
Broxton pretty good in yesterday's ball game against the Diamondbacks. A scoreless 7th inning, gave up a hit, but induced Paul Goldschmidt to hit a double play ball on the first pitch. Could use that again here.
No balls and a strike on Jay. Oh, 2 now. Cardinals have activity in their bullpen as well. Garcia is coming out. The right-hander is Matt Belisle. Randy Choate is the lefty. 1-0 Brewers. A first inning run has held up for Milwaukee. Fiers to Broxton. Fiers went 6 shutout. There's a ground ball. Segura bobbles briefly and gets the out at second base.
Yeah, wouldn't have been able to turn 2 anyway.
A little bit of a snow cone on that ball.
A little panic in his face when he bobbled that baseball. Hey, tonight's time of the game winner, Gin and Tonics in Wittenberg, Wisconsin. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This all for courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. Gin and Tonics.
I like it. A guy named Tonic. Here's Randall Grichuk. Pinch hitting. Big power. Long pause by Broxton and a first ball swing by Grichuk. He does that a lot. Guy packs some punch. He's hit 2 homers this season. He's been a very good pinch hitter for him. Hitting .284 overall.
Only had 63 at bats.
Grichuk is 0 for 6 off the bench. I say very good pinch hitter. I looked at the wrong line, but he is Matheny's first choice off the bench most games. He's an excellent outfielder as well. Excellent defensive outfielder. 1-1 and a swing and a miss. Ball and 2 strikes on Grichuk.
And it was a slider that Broxton threw yesterday to get the double play ball. He just threw one to Grichuk to get the swing. Showing a little bit more confidence in the breaking pitch as Broxton lately. Last couple of few outings.
Brewers set up to turn 2 if one's hit on the ground. Grichuk hits a hot one right at Segura. It goes 6-4, 3, and a double play, and the inning is over. And for the second consecutive game, Jonathan Broxton gets a late double play ball. Goldschmidt last night, Grichuk here tonight. Shutout intact. A 5-hitter for the Brewers. They lead 1-0. We go to the 8th. The original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly.
Well, 1-0 Brewers as we head to the 8th inning. Yeah, good job by Jonathan Broxton. Back-to-back outings with double plays. Hey, the Brewers announced today that for the second consecutive year, Miller Park will host an international soccer match on Tuesday, July 14th, as English Premier League club Newcastle United square off against Club Atlas. I don't know what this is. Liga MX. For tickets and details, visit brewers.com/soccer. Is that what it is? It's
perfect.
Liga MX?
Sure. You got it. Here's Randy Choate. You're a little more familiar with the stylings of Randy Choate.
I'm still looking at this. They had 22nd or 23rd game for Randy Choate, a 1-0 record, a 372 earned run average for the veteran left-hander. One of 2 lefties in that bullpen.
Facing Gerardo Parra to start the inning. It might be, well, let's see. They'll probably have Sardinas hit right-handed, is my guess. Choate faced 2 batters here. He's a situational left-hander. Slings it in, and it's 1-1. You're still looking at that card. Huh?
Yeah, I think tomorrow I'll read that better. It's going to say Brewers announced yesterday. I'm going to take a better look at that one tomorrow.
So you're setting it up for tomorrow to say yesterday.
Yeah.
They announced it today. There's a shot right back to Choate. Good play. And Parra is retired. Tough break. Quick reflexes of Randy Choate.
He still has it, doesn't he? Yep, able to get down and make an easy underhand toss over to Mark Reynolds. Parra hit that one pretty well. No luck.
And that's going to be one batter for Choate. So Matheny's all right with Sardinas hitting left-handed. He's going to bring on Matt Belisle now. One batter face for the 39. first inning. 2 outs. Carlos Gomez with a base hit, scoring Gene Segura. And that's the only tally on the board. Jaime Garcia pitched very well after that first inning, but Mike Fiers was even better. 6 shutout innings for Fiers. Broxton worked a scoreless 7th. So we sit here in the 8th with 1 away. The new pitcher is Matt Belisle.
Yeah, pitched a couple of days ago against the Dodgers, and 2/3 of an inning did not allow a run. The veteran right-hander. Average fastball, changeup, and slider from Matt Belisle.
Sardinez turns around, hits left-handed for the first time tonight. 0 for 2 as a right-handed batter. And he slaps one into left field, a base hit. Sardinez with a single with 1 away. I thought it was interesting. Matheny took Choate out. I think most managers would rather have Sardinez bat right-handed if they have the choice.
He hasn't really had a lot of at-bats as a right-handed batter. He hasn't faced too many lefties, but Sardinez, a .214 hitter from the right side, as opposed to .256 coming in as a left-handed hitter.
So Sardinez is aboard. He's got very good speed. Elian Herrera batting for the first time. Came in to play third on the double switch. Very curious to see what Counsell does for the bottom of the 8th. Broxton is not a guy that you would count on to go 2 innings. There are 2 pitchers in the bullpen for the Brewers right now.
You got 2 lefties coming up, Wong and Carpenter. You might see him go with the matchups. You might see Neil Kotz, and then he'll bring in Jeffress, because then there are 3 right-handed hitters for the Cardinals. Counsell's in the position he wants to be. Has the lead. Fiers got him for the 7th inning.
No balls and a strike. Herrera slaps one to left. That's going to get down, a base hit. Back-to-back hits by the switch hitters.
Back-to-back hits in the 8 and 9 spots. Now the top of the order coming up.
Now Matheny played the card. He wanted his right-hander in. Turning around those 2 switch hitters, and both deliver with singles.
Yeah, slider down and in, and look at Herrera. Pulls the hands in and shoots it to the opposite field. It's a nice piece of hitting. Back-to-back opposite field hits for the Brewers. Did a lot of that in yesterday's game.
Top of the order. Here is Segura. He's 1 for 3 today. He swings and misses the first pitch. Segura singled and scored in the first. Four hits yesterday for Segura. He's had a hot bat since returning. That one ate him up. Fastball in there, and it's 0-2. Mike Fiers went 6 shutout. Broxton a scoreless 7th. Brewers sitting on a 1-0 lead, threatening here in the 8th. Each club with 5 hits. And Segura into right. Hayward backing up. He's got a great arm. Sardinez will challenge that arm. The throw is all the way through. Sardinez ends up at third, but there are 2 men out now for the Brew Crew, with Lucroy coming up.
And this is a situation where Lucroy was so dangerous a year ago. Off to a very slow start the first couple of weeks in April, and looking for his first hit tonight. Good time for it.
And Jerry West is calling Belisle over. They want to look at that baseball. Not sure what this is all about. I think West is saying you stepped off the mound. There's something in the sequencing there when he was rubbing the baseball up, and then he went back to the mound. So he just eliminates the baseball. I don't think that was asked for by the Brewers dugout. I think West just saw something he didn't like and wanted to make that ball a batting practice ball.
Yep.
So here is Lucroy. First and third, 2 outs. Lucroy in his first game back since April 20th.
Roll run right in between first and second. They've got Colton Wong shaded way up the middle. And Lucroy's going well. That's where he likes to go, right towards second base, or at least where the second baseman would be normally playing.
Lucroy to the right side. Got it off the end of the bat, though, and that will retire the side. So the Brewers strand 2. It's a tight one in the Lou tonight. 1-0. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Looking forward to that. Hope it's a good news story tonight. Neil Kotz is on the mound. The Cardinals have a couple of lefties to start the inning in Colton Wong and Matt Carpenter. So Kotz will get the ball here to start the 8th inning.
Yeah, pitched 2 scoreless innings yesterday's ball game, including 3 strikeouts. Kotz pitched the 5th and 6th innings in yesterday afternoon's game at Miller Park. Has a couple of left-handers to deal with. 22nd appearance overall for Kotz. And it's starting to whittle away at that earned run average. Now it's under 5. He's got to keep the ball in the ballpark. That's been one issue he's had this year.
Left-handers have struggled against Kotz, but the Cardinal left-handers swing the bat well against opposing southpaws. Matt Carpenter is hitting .264 against lefties. Wong is hitting .292. Jason Hayward is the best of them all. He's hitting .341 against left-handed pitching this year. And Wong starts it with a base hit. Stayed right down on it. And a single to lead off the 8th.
Numbers don't lie, do they? Well, this is going to be Neil Kotz's last hitter. You got Carpenter, left-hander. You got 3 right-handers coming up. Jeffress is still warming up. That was a good pitch by Kotz. I mean, look at the way Wong goes down and gets it just out of the reach of Segura by a couple of inches.
And now Carpenter. Broxton worked the 7th scoreless. Fires started, went 6 scoreless. Cardinals now have 6 hits. And Carpenter takes a strike.
Along a base stealer. Not sure if he's going to be able to get a jump. Owen Kotz, the lefty.
Those are the splits for Matt Carpenter. Has 2 home runs against left-handed pitching this season. Brewers stranded 2 on in the 8th, the top of this frame. Failed to score. And now St. Louis with a lead man on. Back-to-back innings with their leadoff hitter aboard. And the Cardinals have had their lead man reach 4 times. Swing and a miss by Carpenter. He is 0 for 3 tonight. Cops trying to get a ground ball. He can do that. That cut fastball he throws. Downward action as it gets to the plate. And a swing and a miss. That one stayed up, and Carpenter is out.
And went up the ladder. 3 pitches, and Carpenter not able to make contact. That's going to be it for Kotz. Right-handers coming up for Mike Matheny's Cardinals, and here comes Craig Counsell to get Jeremy Jeffress.
So Kotz gives up a single, backs it up with a K. Went with the firm fastball upstairs.
Up and in, and got Carpenter on 3 pitches.
We'll take a timeout. Jeffress on his way in. We'll set him up when we continue. Brewers up 1-0. Bullpen with 1 away in this inning. Wong started the inning with a base hit. He is the tying run at first. Matt Holliday is due up, and Counsell is going to go to the matchup here. And his setup man, Jeremy Jeffress, right back on the horse after giving up an 8th inning home run in yesterday's game to Mark Trumbo.
At the hard throw with good movement, has 3 right-handed batters to deal with. Matt Holliday, Johnny Peralta, and Yadier Molina. 28th appearance for Jeremy. He has thrown a lot, up amongst league leaders in appearances, and a .360 earned run average. Right-handers have had a tough time against him, but has allowed 2 home runs.
Holliday is 0 for 2 today. Had a walk his first time up, and then back-to-back strikeouts against Fires, and Jeffress almost hit him right across his knees. Holliday has grounded into 5 double plays this season. He's maintained a .300 batting average, but just 3 home runs on the year. Brewers would love to see a ground ball here. And a swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, that's where you want to attack Matt Holliday. You know, in on his hands with the hard stuff, soft stuff down and away. I guess that's where you want to pitch every good hitter. Got to get in on their hands, but don't make a mistake with it.
Does have a homer against Jeffress among his 2 hits. And he lines out with a right base hit. Wong on his way to third. Holiday just inside outs one to the opposite field, and now the Cardinals have him at the corners with just 1 out.
They'll try to come in there again, but Matt Holiday, a 300 hitter for a reason, able to fight it off and dump it into right. Not a bad pitch. I mean, it's just a good hitter handling a pretty good pitch on the inside corner and just muscles it into right field. Not a whole lot you can do about that.
Now the Brewers stranded 2 on in the top of this inning. Now the Cardinals have them at the corners. Johnny Peralta coming up. Counsell's going to play his infielders back. Going to take a shot at a double play to try to end the inning here. Peralta, look out. A breaking ball sailed over his head.
That's a good play by Lucroy. Lucroy having to react quickly. Check it out. He's down and away and able to grab it in the webbing.
Well, Byers had a breaking ball just like that earlier tonight. Jeffress has a power sinker. He's going to need him here. Peralta's been one of the Cardinals' clutch hitters this year and is their team leader, tied with Carpenter with 8 homers. Drove in all 3 runs in yesterday's win for St. Louis.
If you can get on top of that 2-seamer, you got the guys on the bases that you can turn to. Holiday and Peralta.
Peralta's grounded into the most double plays among the Cardinals, 8 of them. Steve Reich on the corner. Needed that one. 2-1 the count now. He is also their RBI leader with 30. A single and a walk here today. The speedy Colton Wong at third base, the tying run. Three balls and a strike. Wheels are churning for Craig Counsell. Jeffress gave it up yesterday.
This is his inning, though.
He was put into the 8th for the struggling Jonathan Broxton. 8th inning has been a trouble spot for the Brewers this year. Hitters count 3-1. Peralta, defensive swing. Wow. On a 3-1 pitch.
And he was bound to determine a swing of that, huh?
That is a big break for Jeffress.
That's about a foot off the corner. Look at this.
Jeffress has that strikeout stuff. He could use one here. Full count, 1 out. And down he goes. Peralta strikes out.
A big fastball by Jeremy Jeffress. Well, Peralta gave Jeremy life with that bad hack on 3-1 and then blew it right by him on a full count. Check this out. Here it is. Outer half up a little bit, and Peralta just waves at it. 1 out away from getting out of this mess.
And now he'll have Yadier Molina to deal with. Got to be careful with that first pitch on Molina. He's always ready to swing. Been a good hitter with runners in scoring position this year. 2 outs now, first and third. 1-0 Brewers, bottom of the 8th. Same fastball in there for a strike. 95-mile-an-hour heater.
If you're going to throw an off-speed pitch, you better make sure it's down because Molina will jump all over a hanger.
Crowd chants Yachty. 5 career at-bats, 1 hit off of him. Ooh, what a play by Lucroy, man. On a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, Lucroy able to pick it.
That is saying
Molina-like.
Hey, no big deal. I do that every day.
You know, Jeffress hasn't had great command here in this inning. A determined look. 1 ball, 1 strike on Molina. They had a swing and a foul. He had a good cut. Back to the fastball, Rock, and it's 1-2 now. 3 straight heaters from Jeffress.
Man, that's what you want to do. You don't want to take any chances on hanging a breaking pitch. Jeremy's got a good one, but Molina sitting back, likes to use right field. If you make a mistake with it, he will bang it hard somewhere. Stay hard on him and stay upstairs.
Lucroy taking his time. Jeffress ready. Big pitch right here. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a swing and a foul again. Molina trying to shoot one to right field.
Left that one down a little bit. You get that up maybe another 4 or 5 inches, and that might get by him.
Neil Cott started the inning, a single to Wong, then a strikeout to Carpenter. Holiday singled off Jeffress to put him at the corners. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Molina swings and misses. Down he goes. First breaking ball of the at-bat. 2 strikeouts for Jeffress. He strands runners at the corners. Punched out Peralta with a heater. And a slider, a hanger, but he got away with it. The shutout still there. 1.
Lead here at Busch Stadium, and we check out our Miller Lite What's on Tap. Craig Counsell saying before the game that if Fires was able to give them a good start, that the starter for tomorrow would likely be Tyler Cravey, who they brought up today from AAA Colorado Springs. You see his record there, 5-4, the ERA just over 4. And Craig Counsell saying he's been kind of an under the radar guy, but he's just kept performing. He said he's comparable to Mike Fiers, and not necessarily in his stuff, but just how he works on the mound. He has a little bit of that deception misconception that Fires has, and he was the call-up today because he has been a starter, also a reliever, saying that if they needed him to provide some length today, he would be able to do that. So Cravey will likely get the start tomorrow with Fires doing his job, 6 shutout.
All right, thanks, Sophia. As Braun swings at the first pitch. And one away here in the 9th inning.
And his last 3 starts down in AAA, Cravey 3-0, a 189 earned run average. So that's why you're going to see him make a start tomorrow.
Minus the hair. He went 8 innings in his last start. So barring extra innings, he'll be the guy. How about the job Jeremy Jeffress does to get out of the 8th? Striking out Peralta and Molina with the tying run at third base and the winning run or go-ahead run at first.
Yeah, everything to Molina in that at bat, 97, 95, 96. And he got him on an 80-mile-an-hour breaking pitch. You got to figure Molina's saying, I got to speed my bat up a little bit. I mean, I'm behind these fastballs. I know he's going to throw me a fastball. He drops the breaking pitch on him way out in front. That's a heck of a pitch, a gutsy pitch to a very good off-speed hitter. But it worked.
So bad it was good. It was a hanger, but the change of pace got him. Jeffress with a huge effort. Good for him coming back. That was really eating him up, giving up the home run in yesterday's game in the 8th, and his first opportunity as a setup man. Adam Lynn's going to pinch hit here with 2 outs in the 9th. Brewers have gone quickly here with Braun and Gomez swinging early. And Lind will take a hack on the first pitch. Francisco Rodriguez awaiting a save opportunity.
The bottom half of the Cardinals order to deal with. Kotz and Jeffress did the heavy lifting with the top of the order.
Hayward, Reynolds, John Jay coming up. Hayward and Jay, left-handed hitters. Lind off the bench. Saw him pinch hit yesterday. He's been bothered by some lower back tightness. Left-handed starter on the mound today in Jaime Garcia. Council hoping Lynn can start tomorrow with Lance Lynn on the mound. And a swing and a hot shot back up the middle, a base hit. So Lynn comes up with a pinch hit single. And the Brewers stay alive here in the top of the 9th with a 1-0 lead.
Well, behind the fastball from Belisle, and he went with the breaking pitch, and he was right on it, rolling it into center field.
Kyle Loesch will pinch run for Lind because of that back. It's interesting that Lind says it doesn't bother him at all when he swings, which is kind of amazing, really, when you're dealing with a back problem.
Right.
It's everything else, running especially.
Well, Loesch is about as much of a position player as any pitcher I've seen. He's pinch hit twice this year.
Yeah.
Pinch run a couple of times.
Here's Jason Rogers. I'm sure Loesch enjoys every minute of it as well.
Be involved, just don't sit there, right? Why not?
Brewers could use that run. They're up 1-0. Rogers hits a bullet. It hits the mound. Look at that play by Wong. Oh my goodness. Colton Wong pulling down an offensive rebound. What a heck of a play. Rogers could easily have 2 hits tonight. But this was something. Colton Wong. How about the hops? Man, oh man. Inning over. Bottom of the 9th coming. So book your stay now. Under the lights here on a Monday night, the first night of June. Francisco Rodriguez out for the save. He is 8 for 8 in save opportunities, and he is trying to protect a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah, pitched a scoreless ninth inning in yesterday's ball game at Miller Park. Had the top of that Arizona batting order to deal with. A couple of walks, did not allow a hit, and got out of that mess. And he's got the bottom half of the Cardinals batting order to deal with here today.
It's been 2 weeks since his last save. That was in Detroit. Brewers took 2 out of 3 against the Tigers. And now dealing with the team with the best record in baseball, the Cardinals. Hayward swings, first pitch, little flare. That's a base hit.
And they're playing with fire, 3 consecutive innings, getting their leadoff hitter aboard, and once again Hayward hitting one to left field. And good speed. He's their stolen base leader, Jason Hayward. He's got 5 of them. That's a pretty good pitch. He just serves it out there into left field.
Think about some of these hits, though, for the Cardinals. Holiday had a little flare that fell.
That's just a good approach right there by Jason Hayward. Got a bat on it and a leadoff base runner.
Here's Mark Reynolds now. Big power bat at the plate. And a fastball strike from Rodriguez. That fooled him. Reynolds been known to sit on a pitch.
Well, you know he's sitting on a changeup. He was watching K-Rod all last year.
Five of the 9 innings, the Cardinals have their lead man reach. And a swing and a miss. He got one, and he was way out in front of it.
Good movement on it, huh? Going down and in. Sometimes even when you're waiting on it, you just can't hold up.
How about that? 2 career at-bats. He has 2 hits against him. They were teammates last year. The 0-2 pitch and a called strike 3 right at the bottom of the strike zone, and out is Reynolds.
Quick pitched him, didn't he? He stopped. It wasn't a balk, and he caught the inside corner with a fastball. Got him on 3 pitches. Good pitch.
And a pirouette on the mound.
That was actually a changeup. 84 miles an hour.
1 away. Tying run still at first. Here is John Jay. He's just coming back from the disabled list. Wave and a miss and a changeup. This is only Jay's 4th game back. He had wrist surgery on his left wrist in the offseason and then had a little tendonitis on that wrist. Put him on the DL. He is 0 for 3 tonight. 1-0 Crew, bottom 9 in St. Louis, and Jay rolls over 1 foul. It's 0-2.
A little surprised that Hayward hadn't tried to steal. He can run. K-Rod can be slow to the plate. A lot of off-speed pitches. Well, he hasn't looked as though he's thinking about stealing.
Cardinals are at the bottom of their order. Jay is the 8th batter. Peter Borges has moved on deck. He would hit 9th for the pitcher. 0-2 the count. Long pause, and Jay takes that one. Put it in the same spot as the first swing and miss. That's the thing about K-Rod. It's what makes him so good. His command with all of his pitches, specifically his changeup, which is his money pitch. Backed him up with a fastball.
And one thing he's doing a good job of right now is altering his delivery, the pacing of his pitches, keeping Jason Hayward a little bit off balance. He'll go quickly from time to time. He'll hold the baseball, Not giving him a consistent look.
Let's see what he does here. Count still 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Jay takes one down and in. Almost hit him.
Didn't look like he tried too hard to get out of the way either, did it? Let's see, did he even move?
Ooh, that landed between his 2 feet.
Yeah, didn't really make an effort to get out of the way.
Those are the numbers career. 2 for 9. 2-2 count. Hayward at first. Stays put. Jay takes one low. It's 3-2 now.
Well, is this the pitch that Hayward takes off on? We'll see.
He carries the tying run. It has been 1-0 since the top of the first. There he goes. And the pitch is swung on and missed. Throw to second. The tag. Safe. Hayward steals second base. Almost a strike him out, throw him out, double play to end the game.
Yeah, just a little bit lower, and that's going to be an out at second base. Lucroy's throw high. Another changeup. Lucroy with a good throw, a good release, but a little bit high. If it's right on the bag, the game's over.
Yeah, good call. Erwin Danley, second base umpire. Hayward with that 6'5" frame. Easily in there. Well, that spices things up. The tying run now in scoring position. Peter Borges is the pinch hitter, and Lucroy is on his way out to chat with Rodriguez.
Want to make sure about the signs at second base. You don't want to get crossed up here. Ordinarily, this is a Rick Kranitz visit to the mound, but he's staying put.
Yeah, maybe with anybody else other than his closer.
Right.
Doesn't really affect Rodriguez much who the hitter is. He's going to do his thing. Peter Borges. And Lucroy smothers one in front of the plate.
And that was a tough one, too. Squaring him up, keeping it close, and Hayward has to stay at second base.
Borges has blinding speed. A little tapper, and it's going to be tough to throw him out. That's in there. A strike. 1 ball, 1 strike on Borges.
A lot of change-ups, some curveballs. Not too many fastballs for strikes.
The Brewers have 3 shutouts this year. Had an 11-0 shutout in Atlanta the last time they've done it. Trying to win a 1-0 game here tonight. Bottom of the 9th, 2 outs. And the 1-1 pitch is in there. A called strike on a fastball. A ball and 2 strikes on Borges.
Yep, the fastball, and you can't walk it across any better than that.
Perfect location.
Yep. Now got a couple of pitches to play with. See if he chases one in the dirt. That changeup.
Here's a 1-2, and it is down and in. Went back to the fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. Top of the order due next. Colton Wong, who's been hot tonight. 2 hits and a line drive out. Certainly don't want to see him at the plate. K-Rod trying to end it right here. He has 2 strikeouts following the lead single by Hayward, who's now at second. The 2-2. Full count.
Not chasing that change up in the dirt. Well, you got first base open. You don't want to give him a cookie down the middle. Got to be a changeup.
Got to be. Is he thinking what I'm thinking? What he's thinking? We'll see. Full count. Here it comes. And it's down in the dirt. Borges draws the walk.
Doing the breaking ball,
which is his third best pitch. And now Colton Wong will stand in. The Cardinals have the tying run at second and now the potential winning run at first.
And about one of the fastest guys in baseball. So a gapper here, and it will not end well. You got Hayward with good speed. The Brewers outfield pretty much normal depth. Ordinarily going to be back a little bit to cut off those gaps, but I want to try and cut this run down on the base hit.
Wong's had a good night. And a pickoff play at second, and it is close, but safe is the call.
A good play by Segura. That ball could have easily gone into center field. Of course, I think Jason Hayward's body would have kept it close.
Did he take that one in the ribs? He might have.
K-Rod all right?
Yeah, he fell down on the follow-through. Counsell's out just to give his replay personnel a chance to look at it, and we might have a replay here. Let's see. Ooh, this is going to be close. I don't think his hand's on the bag.
He never got the bag.
We might have a review here, overturned to end the game.
Segura blocked him off. He never did touch second base.
Look at the ball end up in the webbing of the glove of Segura. There's the catch. Boy, you just can't tell if
where it is.
Fingers are on the bag or not.
He blocked him off, but does he get the end of his fingers on the bag? That's going to be the question. Now the ruling on the field is safe. It's going to be interesting. This is a good effort by Counsell to try and end this ball game. It's going to be close.
Hayward was kind of touching up his knee. I think that's what he injured.
Now the fans here in St. Louis are watching it on the replay, and they didn't make a sound. Ordinarily the home crowd.
Segura just saw a replay on the board.
There you go, right there. The hand, the knee, it pins the hand, and then you can see that Segura still has the baseball.
There's a lot to look at here. Again, the call on the field is safe. Tag there. I think he got him.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be awfully close. This is going to be a very interesting ruling. But again, I mean, the call on the field is safe. Is there enough to overturn it?
That's the move right there.
Now, where is the glove? Is the glove on the body? Because the fingers aren't on the bag at that point.
So the calling umpire is in the forefront there. Kerwin Danley. The crew chief Joe West is.
In the meantime, K-Rod's got to keep throwing to stay sharp.
It is tough to get the bang bang calls overturned. There has to be clear and convincing evidence to get it overturned. Call on the field is safe. And this is going to be the best look.
Right there, he's got the body right there, but is the hand on the bag? You really can't see. Segura blocks him off with the knee. Holds on to the baseball. It's up to the umpire in New York at this point.
Wow, that's a tough call, man.
Yeah.
Tough call. Even with all of the technology and the replays that we have. And amazing that that ball didn't pop through the other end of the webbing on Segura. Well, we've seen him go both ways. It's going to be interesting. We've given you all of our looks, which is all the looks that
they
have in New York.
We can't tell.
All right, here it comes. This is a big one. Joe West will make the call. Safe. I'm guessing just not enough evidence to overturn it.
No surprise. I mean, it was close.
Call on the field stands is the official terminology. And now K-Rod will have to go to work against Colton Wong. And now they are up 40,000 plus at Busch. 2 outs. And it bounces in.
A long delay between batters for K-Rod. He started to throw a little bit after that replay went a little bit longer than he thought. That's exactly what Mike Matheny was hoping for. And a freezing K-Rod out there in the mound.
Review lasted 2 minutes 36 seconds. Tying run at second. Winning run at first. The 1-0 to Wong, and a swing and a chopper. First base. Rogers coming in. He's got it, and he sprawls to the bag for the out. And the Brewers win. They shut out St. Louis 1-0.
Made that one look easy, didn't he?
Wow. You got to mark that one down as one of the best wins of the year. The Brewers in a dandy tonight after a 17-inning win yesterday. They win at 1-0 here tonight as K-Rod gets Wong.
I tell you, that ball, kind of a tricky hop. Jason Rogers just smothers it and making sure he gets the out. But what a game here at the ballpark tonight. The Brewers able to make a first inning run stand up. How about that?
Got a little 5-year-old fan watching, David Houck from Lake Geneva. That one's for you, buddy. The Brewers winners tonight. It's time for Brewers Live. Let's check in with Jeff Grayson in our Fox Sports Wisconsin